Welcome to Hunter Fuel, a supernatural rewatch podcast for adults who enjoy their show with a chaser. I'm Liz.
And I'm Lynn.
Thanks so much for joining us for season 1, episode 11, Scarecrow. We model responsible drunkenness here. All participants are way over 21. No one is pregnant. No one will be driving, handling weapons, operating heavy machinery. Haven't even had anything yet.
I was going to say,
This is not a good sign. Uh,
or a really good one.
or it's an excellent sign. That is a good point. If you're playing along with us, those are the rules. If you decide not to follow them and you do something stupid, don't blame us. Lynn, what are you drinking this evening?
Well, because it's a little bit of a darker episode,
It's
in
dark.
my opinion, I'm going for a bourbon.
You have bourbon. Um, so I think that we need to expand your booze horizons a tiny bit because I was
You
sitting
mean,
here like, is she going to have a bourbon or a cranberry vodka? Because it's going to be one of those two. Which one is it?
yeah, I know. Well, I'll tell you, it's a good thing tonight that I don't, and actually Becky said, my daughter said the same thing. It's a good thing I don't make a cocktail because I literally ran into the house 15 minutes before we started recording, ripped off my work uniform, jumped into something else,
Ooh.
and quickly like dumped a bunch of bourbon into my craft so that I could quickly pour it into my shot glass. So um, yeah, I know we were talking about this right before we started recording, but yeah, my dinner is literally like right off camera. So,
Well, yeah,
so that
and
so that I wasn't completely eating on an empty stomach. I was like quickly slamming part of it down my throat right before we started. But
well,
no, I
I know you said earlier it has been a very Monday.
yes.
That is an extremely accurate statement. Well, I happen to know you have a very nice bottle of tequila in your possession,
Yes, I
and
do.
we may need to try to expand your horizons a bit. So this week, I think I've done a better job this week, considering.
I hope so. Last week you were tortured.
Yeah, my previous episode's cocktail concoction violated the Geneva Convention, so the bar is pretty low here. But I have shaken up a Scarecrow. It is 1.5 ounces of tequila, 1/2 ounce of cinnamon whiskey, 1/2 ounce of something like Cointreau or Aperol. You can use triple sec, but it'll end up being a little sweeter. And a splash each of orange and lemon juices. Shake that
That
all up
sounds
with ice.
good.
It smells good, and like I said, the bar is low after our previous episode, but I have higher hopes for this one. So, how about we take a look at our Stupornatural game cards? Wizard Dave, if you could bring those up for us. Lynn, what do you think? I I'm partially optimistic about mine. I'm not gonna lie.
I th- I think I'm going to be okay. I don't. I'm
Okay.
not. I think I'm going to be all right.
All right. Well, as always, the first one is on the house. Oh, Slancha.
Slancha. Oh, that's so good.
You know, it's not bad. It's not my favorite. You know what I think? I feel like it might actually served warm in the fall. Might be good.
Well,
But
that would be kind of appropriate for this
yeah,
episode
it
because
would be.
just based on the subject matter. So
Indeed. Indeed it is. Well, with that,
I'll tell
let's
you, I'm already prepping myself for the next one because yeah, whenever I'm always like, okay, done with that one next.
get ready. I want to be ready at my next opportunity to drink. I want to make sure I'm ready. So, well, on that note, let's get this show on the road.
Absolutely. All righty. So
So, there is no previously on segment for this one. So we're
yeah,
diving right in.
yeah. So we're in Indiana, and they
Mhm.
are at this little like so we're in this little we're in this little place in Indiana where it's basically just kind of a gas station.
Little town, little diner. I'm going to interrupt you right away and just say that this is an absolutely gorgeous shot from Kim Manners, who directed this, where they like that long steady cam where it comes around past them, like really beautifully shot.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So they're just walk so they're driving out of town, and after the car just got supposedly fixed, it has once again died.
Yeah.
After and I just want to mention one thing real quick before we go continue is if you noticed when they were coming out of that little restaurant, they were handed an apple pie.
Hmm.
And that apple pie and the theme of apple pies becomes a huge theme throughout this entire episode. So you
Yeah.
definitely want to keep an eye on those apple pies. They make a reoccurrence several
They do.
times.
Well, yeah, and pie in general is something we want to keep our eye on. I also want to mention I have paused it here. I love this line at the beginning where it's this, this couple is walking out of this little diner with their apple
Mhm.
pie, and and she says, everyone in this town is so nice, and then the wife says, yeah, what's the catch? So I think it's a great little line here.
So, and
Oh,
the other thing I did want to mention is and it started so quickly I didn't even get a chance to, is the couple that owns the diner, the husband, he is play, and I recognize, and I had to do a little bit of research because I did one of these. I know I've seen him in something before.
mhm.
And it turned out I most certainly had.
Where
He
from?
was he is played by Tom Butler, and he is in what was now unfortunately the show is no longer still on, but he was in one of my favorite shows called Chesapeake Shores. He played
Oh,
Lawrence Riley in Chesapeake Shores.
okay.
So I was so disappointed when that show ended.
Mm.
Loved it.
I
Loved it,
I know
loved it,
you're
loved
I know you're gonna be shocked and amazed, but I did not watch Chesapeake Shores.
I know. It was one of my many sort I don't know if it was actually on Hallmark, but it was a
It should have
Hallmark.
been.
I believe it actually was. I watch it on the same streaming service that I watch all of my Hallmark shows on.
Okay.
So it's absolutely a possibility that was on
It was on Hallmark. So,
Hallmark.
all right. Okay, we're hitting play again.
So so the couple is now getting out of the car as they're like she's not liking this scene, and frankly it looks like, I mean, I know it is not a cemetery, it's an apple orchard, but let's be honest, it looks like one. I mean, that's the
Creepy.
creepiest looking orchard I've ever seen.
It's pretty creepy. Part of the problem is that, despite the bushels of apples lying around and all the apples on the ground, these are not in fact apple trees. These are hazelnut trees.
No. So and so we come across this scarecrow, which is the freakiest looking
Oh,
scarecrow I think on planet Earth.
totally hideous.
Yeah, this is the most disgusting looking this thing, like And he says, "If I only had a brain," which is of course a line out of and of course, right as soon as I said that, the movie
It's from The Wizard of
Wizard
Oz,
of Oz.
and I do just wanna mention this scene here where the wizard, the Scarecrow turns his head as they're walking by, that was not in the script. That was something that they came up with on set, and it's creepy as hell.
Yes, yes, it is. So yeah, and they you can hear you hear the branches cracking and all of
Mhm.
that, and it's like who's there and the growling and and everything, and you hear the panting, and it's just oh my lord, the scene is so freaking freaky, like so well
Yeah.
done. But oh my dear lord, um,
Oh, yeah, and all of
yes,
a sudden, the husband disappears, like, the wife
yeah,
is running, the husband just disappears.
yep, and then she looks down, and it's just
This is awful.
you see plenty, like I
You
it
see enough.
yep, yep, this is about as much as my this is about as much as my gore level on this particular subject. 'Cause I was like, okay, yep, I've seen plenty because it's pretty
Yeah.
clear as to what has happened.
Yeah, she trips and falls over her dead husband's body, whose face is just missing. His face is gone. And oh, I love this shot. This is such a beautiful shot there of the cross beam with the ropes just swinging in the breeze.
Yep.
Um, ooh, I'm gonna
Oh,
pause
and
this.
so, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Well, we have a quirky motel room.
Yes.
So let's check our cards here and see if either one of us has a quirky motel room, and then you can make the comment you were going to.
I do not.
I don't either, and I'm fairly sad about it. Not gonna lie. All right. Well, our very first potential square of the episode, and we are both
Out of
busted.
luck.
Out of luck. All right. So hitting play
Uh,
here.
so the phone is ringing. The guys are sound asleep. Sam reaches for the phone, and all of a sudden you realize it's dad.
Yeah. So this is right where we left off the prior episode.
Yep. And he and Sam bolts up, and he of course asks his father 10,000 questions, and dad is not giving anything away, which very quickly infuriates Sam.
Hmm.
And Dean realizes it's dad on the phone, and it's just like, just give me the phone. Just
Hmm.
please give me the phone. And Sam just wants answers, and dad's not budging.
Hmm. One
And
of the things I like in this conversation here is, so we've got Jeffrey Dean Morgan playing John on the other side.
yep.
And
Oh,
one of
and
the
we have
things,
Sammy.
yes, but it's not Dean. It's got to be
Ah,
Dean who calls him Sammy. You are correct. And had it been Dean, we'd be checking our cards. But one of the things that John says during this conversation is that a demon was responsible for killing Mary and Jess. And he says demons are everywhere. So let's hang on to that.
so, so all the dad wants him to do is write down a couple of names, and Sam is being stubborn and just says we should be doing this together, and the father is like, no, it's not safe. And finally Dean is like, just give me the phone, and rips the phone out of his hand
Yeah.
because he knows this is not going to work, and
Right.
he will follow orders the way Sam will not.
Yeah.
And it's
I love
immediately,
this so much. Go ahead.
yes sir, I've got a pen, and I will, and boom, no questions asked, following orders,
Yeah.
which of course now creates a massive conflict within the brothers.
It does, and I love Jensen's performance here because he, like you said, he rips the phone away from Sam. He gets on the phone with Dad, and he immediately sits up straighter. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it's so like, and we're going to see them interact with their father in other episodes, and this tends to be sort of the way that they address him. They both call him sir, which is not uncommon, um depending on how you were raised. Some people refer to their parents as sir and ma'am. That's not normal. But the way Dean says it, it's very much like a soldier responding to a commanding officer. It's
Yes,
not
yes, you
it's
took the words right out of my
yeah.
mouth.
It's not like a son being respectful of his father. It's very much like a soldier. And I think
Yeah,
Jensen's performance is really great. All right.
absolutely. Very, very, very military-like. Because
Very, yes. Yeah, well said.
so, so
Oh,
that,
I'm
so,
stopping because Sam is driving baby.
oh,
So let's take a look at our cards. I
I
have
am,
Sam drives baby.
I'm almost positive I do not.
Oh,
Oh, yes, yes, I do.
I poured that one a
Yeehaw!
little heavier than I intended, but that's okay. So
So
both
did
of us have a
I.
square.
So did I. So,
Mm, It's all right. We're not driving.
yep, exactly. Cheers.
Cheers.
Woo! Damn. That that's for the very Monday Monday.
The Monday. Uh,
Now the
all
next
right.
one I will definitely be doing a lot smaller.
All right. So I've hit play.
So they are now talking about the job that the father has sent them on, that the three couples have disappeared, no trace. They are heading to Indiana. It's 1 year after another, the second week of April. And it's, wait a minute, Dad is sending us to Indiana for these vanishing couples. And oh, we have a Yahtzee.
We have pausing. We have the very first Yahtzee
Yep.
of the series. So let's take a look at our cards, and I have a Yahtzee.
Do I have a
All
Yahtzee?
right.
And
Cheers.
sadly, no, I do not. I've had it on my
Mm.
card so many times before, and I do not have one. Sadness.
More for me.
Trust me, I may be toasting with you in a little bit. As I said,
If
it's
they
just
don't keep
one of
up.
those. Yeah. All
All
righty.
right.
So moving
Hitting
right
play.
along here. So the and Dean immediately says, "Dad's a master,"
Yeah.
and that has Sam parking the car and saying, "We're not going to Indiana."
Hmm.
Dad called from a payphone in Sacramento. It was an and explaining that that's where he's got to be. It was the area code. We're going to help him. He Dean's like, nope. He gave an order. We're following the order, and Sam is not having any of it.
He
This
says,
is
I don't care. I don't care about the orders.
yeah, which is I love this combativeness. I What I love
Yes.
is that they ended with this in the last episode. Oh, and just before, I love how he Sam says in this, "Mom died when I was
Yeah.
4. How like Jess died 6 months ago. How do you know how I'm feeling? Like this is so
Yeah.
raw. Like this is so raw for me."
It is. It is. Yeah. Like he's Sam knows just the buttons to push to hurt Dean, and that like because Sam doesn't remember Mary. He was 6 months old, and it's a defining moment in Dean's life. And yeah, he knows right away that if he pushes this button, that it's going to set off Dean, and he does it on purpose, I think.
Yeah, sorry. Just because of what we're talking, I don't want this to go much farther before we
Yeah.
finish our conversation.
Yeah.
But
Right. So we
so
paused it.
yeah, so so yeah, so I just another thing I loved is that we had this conflict at the end of the last episode, and I
Hmm.
love that they didn't just forget about it and
Right.
move on. Like we're right back in that same
Hmm.
conflict, and it's like, okay, we're finally letting this sort of go through the boiling point so that
Right.
they can actually hash this out, and whatever's going to happen needs to happen.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They've been teasing this for a couple of episodes now, and they're like, okay, it's time for the other shoe to drop now.
Yeah.
I do think it's what I think is interesting about this fight is you can you can see them both. They don't want to be having this fight. Like I think both Jared and Jensen do a really great job with this scene where, they're both sort of too stubborn to back down.
Yep.
Like like they don't want to be having it's not that they don't want to be having this fight. They they don't want the fight to be going as far as it's going. Where, Dean is leaving Sam on the side of a road in Scaryville, in the middle of the night. Like this is not great. This is a shitty place to dump your brother. But it's like neither one of them is prepared to back down. Um, and I think the way the both of them play it is really neat.
Yeah. Now it's beautifully done. Like they
It is.
could not have done this better if they tried.
I think so. I think you're right.
So hitting play here.
Hmm.
So Dean says to him, like, I am going to leave you. And Sam
I will
goes,
leave your
that,
ass.
yep. And Sam goes, that's what I want. That's
And look at his
exactly
face.
what.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
And like Sam's like, looks at him like, yes, that's exactly what I want. Like the two of them say more in not saying
Yeah.
anything than possible.
Yeah.
I love that interaction.
Yeah, me too.
So Sam starts walking. You see Dean drive away, and now Dean is in this little town
Mhm.
by himself. And one thing we know about Dean flying solo, it doesn't usually go as well as he would like it to.
He doesn't do well by himself in general.
And I love this. He looks at his phone and he scrolls down and he
Sam.
stares at Sam's number like,
Yeah.
do I, don't I? Crap,
Yep.
I can't.
I can't. Yeah, like they've been separated a couple of hours at this
Yeah,
point, and he already knows this is a bad decision. Like this is a mistake.
yeah.
Excuse me.
So he comes across this little diner, and I love this whole thing of apparent the name he comes up with is guy like it's the same name as the lead drummer for Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, almost all of Dean's aliases are rock drummers, but most people don't recognize them. Like almost nobody calls him on it. And this guy is like, "Isn't that the drummer from Led Zeppelin?" He's like, "Oh, classic rock fan. Fuck, I'm caught." You know? Whoops. Oh, you know who that is, huh? You know, I'm pausing this just because this has absolutely nothing to do with what we're talking about. But that like, oops, I'm caught thing of 1,000 years ago when I worked in mental health, I had someone I worked with who, she kept talking about this boyfriend she had. And And I could tell right away this was an imaginary boyfriend. And the way that I could tell it was an imaginary boyfriend is I recognized the character from a show that I watched
Oh,
regularly.
no.
And I didn't call her on it. It was one of those things where it was just like we hadn't built up enough of a rapport for me to really challenge her. I didn't personally feel at the time. So I let it go. I let it go. And then one day she says, "I have a picture of my boyfriend. Would you like to see it?" And I said, "Yes, I would." And she pulls she pulls out of her bag a page she had ripped out of a magazine of this character, and it was clearly a promotional shot. And I said, "Oh, you're a fan of this." It was Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I said, "Oh, you're."
Oh, no.
Yeah, like if
Oh,
there's
shit. She
yeah,
chose the wrong person for that. Oh, fuck. Oh,
yeah, yeah, prior I mean, Buffy the Vampire Slayer is the reason I never watched Supernatural because I was inaccurately convinced it couldn't possibly be as good as my very favorite show. And so I took one look at it and I said, "Oh, you're a fan of Buffy. That's James Marsters. I like him. I think he's a talented actor." And she's like, "Oh, you watched the show?" And I'm like, "Mhm." She's like, and she just like it very quickly disappeared back into her bag and she just walked away. So when I'm watching this scene and you could see Dean's face where he's like, "Ah, crap." Like
that's all you get. It's what you think
that's
about.
that's all I could think about. So, okay. Back to Supernatural. All right, here we go. Hitting play.
Well, listen, you take Dean, uh, you you take him away from Sam, and oh Lord, the boy just ends up in so much trouble.
Yeah, you're not wrong that I think I mean, again, this is something that they do regularly. I also love this. Like, here's my question. How long has Sam been walking backwards that he doesn't notice her sitting there? Like, you can see people from a pretty long way off. I mean, look, you can see into the distance. Like,
Yeah,
he has to have been walking backwards for like a mile that he didn't see her just sitting there. So
yeah.
okay, fine. Let's buy that. We'll buy that story. He could
And
have
of
like
course,
fallen off of a cliff. He wouldn't know. He's been walking backwards for a mile.
and of course, this is the introduction of Meg,
Yeah.
who Meg
Yeah.
we will find out a great deal more about, especially at the end of this episode. But we
Yeah.
we will see a great deal more of Meg
We will.
in the coming episodes.
We will. And so this is Nikki Acox. She really tragically passed away a few years ago. But much beloved by everybody who knew her. Like every person who has worked with her that I'm aware of has had nothing but really glowing things to say about her, both as a person and as like her talent as an actor. I do love that this, you know what, I am going to pause this quickly. So I had written about this scene in the book, and my mother, who is my editor, excuse me, she has never seen the show. She's decided she didn't want to watch it until after she's done doing the editing. And I had just written panel van. And she calls me and she says, "It's a white panel van, isn't it?" And I'm like, "Yes, yes, it is." And like she's like, "Yeah, like any skeevy person in the show will always be any show will always be in a white panel van." So I didn't even have to tell her it was a white van. She knew. Yeah, so this is
Oh,
obviously like the creeper in the white panel van with no windows is clearly a trope. So it's kind of interesting that like she doesn't trust Sam, but she gets into a van by herself with a stranger. Like we're gonna have to see what happens.
hmm. So, and of course, this is Tom Butler.
Yes,
So, and I love how she manages to point out the tattoo.
right. Yeah, they're
And
like, "Oh no, we've never seen these pictures and these people in these missing persons reports. We've never seen them." And she's like, "Oh yeah, you remember? We saw them last year. They came through." And he's like, "Oh, oh yes. Oh, now that you mention it, I do remember them, funnily enough."
so so we go, and that tattoo turns out to be a very critical
Yeah, that's a
thing
clue.
that we'll see. Now, I love how, and about in a brief second here, we are going to see as he pulls over here the
Very sensible
EMF.
driving.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
the EMF detector, which is going off like crazy right now. So I'm
It
going to
is.
pause this for a brief second because we could check our cards
We
for
can
an
check our
EMF
bingo
detector.
cards. Let's see.
And I do have one.
Oh, you have one. Good for you. I do not appear to have one.
So
Which
cheers.
makes me very sad. And I would not be a good friend if I let you drink alone. So I'm going with you. Mm. All right. So I have three right now, including my free space. Which one? How
I,
many do
I
you have?
three, including the free.
Okay, so we're tied at the moment.
Yep.
Let's see how
Let's
this
see
goes.
how long that lasts. So Dean is now walking through this creepy ass apple orchard, which of course is not really an
Hazelnuts.
apple orchard, but minor
We've
minor
got a smoke
detail.
machine. We've got a smoke machine blowing some fog in here.
Yeah. So yeah, this is anything but, and this is again, I'll get off my high horse with this one. Um, and he sees the creepy
Giddy up.
yeah, creepy ass scarecrow, and he does the one thing I would never do, ever fucking do, which is, I love this dude, you're fugly.
You're ugly.
And he, of course, then grabs a ladder and
Hmm.
climbs up to get a closer look at the fugly scarecrow.
Yeah,
Which,
because he
let me tell,
spots this tattoo here.
yep,
This is why
exact.
you and I do not hunt monsters for a living. We watch shows about people who hunt monsters because we're like, don't do it, Dean. Don't do it.
Yeah, because there's no way in hell I'm getting that. I'd be
Nope.
running the other direction, let alone
Nope.
getting closer to the thing. Like, no, no,
Cleanse it with
no.
fire.
Yep. And
No.
he spots it after double
Yeah.
checking the thing and says, "Nice tat."
Nice hat. And we've got this great shot here of the hook in the
Yes.
frame. Like the hook is almost, it's not quite, but like the hook is almost like framing Dean's face as he climbs up on this ladder. It's a great shot.
Yes, it absolutely is.
Nice tat.
I just love that, and it's just such a defining moment of that. Like,
Yeah.
so then he goes back to the diner, and she's like, "You're back," and I love how he says, "Never left."
Yeah.
So they're just chit chatting and all that, and he decides to go into the diner,
Hmm.
and
I
we
do want to, I'm going to stop you just really quickly here. This is not something you see on a lot of modern cars. The way the gas tank is behind the license plate.
yes,
This was not uncommon for cars in the, 60s and 70s. I'm not saying they never make them now, but like this is something kind of unusual. And they have made some jokes here or there at conventions about baby taking it in the ass. But but if I can steal a joke from Jared and Jensen.
that's freaking awesome.
Yeah, but
So
go ahead.
in the conversation, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's all right. Go ahead.
So in the conversation that had just happened, we find out that her parents had actually been killed, and that she has been staying with her aunt and uncle. which
Right.
turns out to be key. So now we are back with Sam,
We
who has
are.
just found out that the next bus is not till tomorrow, and now we see him looking at his phone,
He's getting ready to
and
call Dean.
yeah, and he's doing the same of call Dean. No, I can't shit.
Hmm. I do
And
love the line from the clerk behind the counter. He's like, "Is there any way to get to Sacramento faster?" And she's like, "Yeah, buy a car." But yeah, I think you were just about to mention that. Yeah, so he finds out there's not a bus till tomorrow. But what a coinky dink! Here is Meg.
yep, yep, Meg is back. And so she's trying, so it's now like, you're going to Cali? I'm going to
I'm going
Cali.
to
How
Cal.
about if we go together?
Mm.
And it's like, now all of a sudden you're trusting him with this information, but
Yeah.
and
Well,
now
and she
they're
does have this line where she's like, "Oh, you were right about that guy in the panel van. He was all hands." And she says, "I had to cut him loose."
and it's funny, I didn't even notice. Well, I
Yeah.
noticed it, but until you just said it, I now have a whole different perspective
Yeah.
on that line until you just said that.
Yeah, that's something I love about this episode that like when you see it again, you're like, "Oh, oh, that's good." You know what? And you've just paused it. I think I know why. Because I would call this a wacky diner.
And that's actually not why I paused it, but
Oh,
yes,
well,
it is but yes, I would call that a wacky diner.
all right. So let's take a look here and see if either one of us has wacky diner on our cards. And then you can say what it was you and hmm, I don't have one.
I don't either.
You know what? I since we have it
Oh,
paused now, I know that there's a pie reference coming up here. So let's look for pie. I do have a pie. So I'm going to mark off that square.
I say now, I am racking my brain as to whether Dean actually eats or drinks in this scene because I do have a Dean eats or drinks, and I can't remember whether he ever actually gets the cup of coffee he asked for.
You
I
know
don't think
what?
he does.
You are correct. He does not. It's yeah, that's part of the scene and it's part of the gag actually that like
Yes.
Dean is trying to get pie and he can't. Um so yeah,
Yeah,
if you have pie, mark that off. I do.
I do not, but you know
Mm.
what? I can't let my sister drink by herself.
Oh, you're such a good sister, not leaving me hanging. Thanks for taking one for the team.
Of course, always for you.
All
Well,
right. So we
so,
got denied on Wacky Diner, but
but
we're okay. But we got
yeah,
we got one for pie. All right, hitting
well,
play.
hold on. The reason I
Oh,
paused
that's
it,
right. Oh, I totally forgot. Go you go on.
so hold on. So the reason I
Consulting
paused
minute.
it in the first place, hold on, I want to go back to the actor.
Oh,
There we go. That's the one I wanted to talk about. All right, so really weird facial expression,
for 14.
but minor detail. So so the character who clearly has his mouth full of pie.
Yeah, he's making okay, if you didn't know he was eating pie, that's actually a little bit suggestive. He's like,
Just
"Mm,
a little.
mm."
So apparently, this is definitely a Chesapeake Shores episode
Oh, no.
because if you are
That's
as
a
much
good
a fan of the show as I am, if you didn't recognize the first character, if you don't recognize Brandon Petty from Chesapeake Shores, you don't freaking watch the show because that is Kevin O'Brien, my darlings.
Oh,
And
guess
he
what?
was, and he
I
was
didn't recognize him.
You don't watch the show.
No.
He was in, I think, every episode but the first one. He was one
Okay.
of the main people on
The
Chesapeake
main
Shore.
man.
Yeah, he was one of the I hate to say children because they were all obviously grown, but yes, he was one of the key family members of Chesapeake Shores. It was about the O'Briens, and
Gotcha.
he played Kevin
There
O'Brien.
he is. So this is a Chesapeake Shores reunion.
Yes, yes, it is. So, and actually, he looks quite young. So I wonder if
It might
this
predate.
is probably either in the beginning of or just prior to, because Chesapeake Shores just ended like last year or the year before.
Mm.
So yeah, it was oh, I love that. Can I have some pie and some coffee too? And so yeah, so
Yep.
he's trying to speed these two up as they're like, yeah, we had apparently had a leak in the brake line that we never knew about. So the car will get fixed by sundown. And he's like, I can see.
I know where
And
this
you,
is going.
yeah, exactly. And you can tell that he's trying to get the wheels turning and he's having no luck. And it's like, crap, if only my brother were here. And the problem is he actually
Yeah.
says that out loud.
He does. He's like, my brother could give you these puppy dog eyes and you'd be right on board, and I think that this is something that we don't really see as fans of the show, but I suspect, I mean, Dean has spent his life hunting monsters. I mean, so is Sam, but I think he's better at hiding it. That I suspect he gives off a dangerous vibe in person. So here comes this kind of scary guy, sits down, big diner. He could sit anywhere. No, he sits right next to you and starts trying to say, like, "Oh, I'll fix your car." Like, I can't blame them for not wanting him to fix their car. But yeah, so Scotty has called the sheriff. The sheriff is like, "Yeah, time for you to go."
And of course, the sheriff is now running him out of town.
Lights and sirens. Like, he's not fucking around. He's like, you go now.
But now, like, do you think is it because they actually suspect, or do you think they're like, crap, he's onto something? I need to get him the hell out of here before they fuck up the plan.
Yeah, I mean, he's showing up, he's asking questions about missing people. I mean, clearly he needs to go. That I don't know if they think that he knows exactly what's going on, but he cannot be there asking questions. So they turf him out. And clearly whatever is going on in town, the sheriff is in on it.
Yep. Oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
So, and now we are back with Sam and Meg, who, of course, Meg is now saying all the right things to get Sam's attention.
Yeah.
W-
Yeah. She's got her little shoulder hanging out. Like, yeah, and I think it's interesting. Like, this is clearly a seduction. Like, uh, I'm giving things away. Like, w- we know, if we've seen this whole episode, we know she's up to something. And
Yep.
and I love that the way she's trying to get to Sam is through his family.
Yep. Absolutely.
Mhm.
And like trying to have the same story and all of that. But what she does, well, we'll see what she doesn't count on.
She
But
she does. And you know what? I'm going to pause this because I'm just checking my notes quickly, and so we have missed a dude. Okay, I've checked my notes and we missed a dude.
we
So
missed a dude.
we missed a dude. So let's check our
And I
scene.
have a dude.
You have a dude.
I have a dude.
I am dudeless.
Well, Cheers.
Cheers. Good for you. Good for you. So let's see. I have four. I think you have four. So
We're tied.
we are still tied.
Woo!
Okay. All right. Before I hit play again, I just want to point out this great. I'm always impressed by this, where like the Impala is driving under this underpass, or it's an overpass. It's driving under the overpass, and the second the Impala like goes through, a train starts coming across. And I'm always impressed by shots like that. Like how, like the timing involved, like how they managed to get that. I just like I am not worthy. Like you go. I think that's a great shot.
Yep.
All right. So Dean is like, "Nope, fooled you, not leaving town, back to the orchard." Can't stop me. So he's on his way back to the orchard.
So yep, and so they are now in the orchard and they have realized that there is something else in there with them.
Mhm.
And
There's
they
something
and
about this chick that reminds me about of Maggie Gyllenhaal. Like if you
yes, yes, I can absolutely see that.
yeah,
So
go
yeah,
ahead.
so they're now running. You can see the hook. I love that
Uh-huh.
shot.
That is great.
And this is like I think the first time where we actually see the scarecrow chasing the individual, and here comes Dean with the gun and just
Wi
says go, and it he starts shooting and it starts growling. But what's funny is that he's shooting at it and it's still going. Like
Yeah,
it
it's not even slowing down. Like it
yeah,
barely flinches when he hits it. But they get just outside of the orchard,
and it
and it's no
disappears.
yeah, it's nowhere to be seen. So whatever it is, it appears to have a territory.
Yep,
Uh,
absolutely. And now we see Dean
yeah,
and Sam have reconnected.
they're on the phone, back when phones had a hinge and you had to open them.
Yeah, but so we see how long the not talking thing lasted. Now, who called
Yeah.
who? No, we will never know that. But
No, it sort of doesn't matter that I mean, you're right. We don't know who broke first. If I had to guess, I would say it was Dean, only because
I'm with you. I'm with you on
it,
that completely.
yeah, because I mean, the first thing that we hear Sam say is like, "Oh, so it's a scarecrow or whatever." So like, we get the impression that like Dean has called Sam saying, "What the fuck was that?" Um, and on it, I think it's kind of in character for Dean to be the one who he needs his family, and
Yeah,
so we this is something we see Dean do, where he wants to keep the peace. He wants to keep his family together. And so he'll kind of push down what his needs are for the sake of keeping the peace with the family. And that's something we're going to see the rest of this season.
but I think all I don't disagree with you. I mean,
Mm,
obviously, we're not the two characters, so I mean,
right.
it's impossible to know who's right and wrong.
Yeah.
It's purely speculative.
Hmm.
But I think it's kind. I just feel like there's more to it than
Say
just
more.
like one than just wanting to keep the peace.
Mm,
I think he realized I think he's just I think I don't quite know how to phrase what I'm thinking, but I just feel
mm.
like there's more to it than that.
So yeah, I've paused it just for a moment because we have this great moment here, which I am prepared to call a heartfelt broman.
And actually I have it written down as a heartfelt
You
bro moment. So
you
you
do.
and
So
I
this we agree. We can check our cards in a moment, but I I mean, I think that like I don't know if this is what you were trying to get at, but I mean, Dean needs his family. He's really only half a person without his brother.
yes,
Um,
I
and
agree with that 100%.
so they anytime they're apart, he doesn't do well. They don't make it very long. Whereas Sam, I mean, like he took that seriously. Like, he had that big fight with John that we heard about in Bugs. He went off to school and he wasn't going back. I think he would have toughed it out. So I think for a variety of reasons, it makes sense to, I mean, like you said, we don't see it on screen, so it's all speculation, but I think it makes sense to assume that Dean is the one who called Sam. Um, so let's
I
see if,
I
go ahead.
agree with everything you said 100%.
So let's check our bingo cards here and see if our supernatural game cards, if either
I
one
have
of
a
us has a
heartfelt
heartfelt.
bro moment.
You do go you. You know what I've decided here is that anytime I say, oh no, I do have a heartfelt moment. I do. I was about to say anytime I think I'm going to do well, it sucks. And then anytime I think I'm going to do well, or no, it's the other way.
I knew exactly what you meant.
I'm glad you know what I'm trying to say because I'm not convinced that I do. But whatever I say, my cards do the opposite. So I think from now on, no matter what I think about my card, I'm going to say, I think I'm not going to do well. I over dispensed, but I'm not pouring it back. So,
I cheers. I'm kind of in the same boat.
Hmm, hmm. Okay. Oh, this one's growing on me.
Woo!
Okay, back to our show here. Let's hit play. But what I do love where this conversation goes, where Dean
Mhm.
starts to say, I've always admired your ability to stand up to dad.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh,
uh, and
and we
oh,
have a Sammy.
we have a Sammy, and he says, "I'm proud of you," which we
Oh,
know from I know my heart. We know from Phantom Traveler, this is not something that they heard from their dad. So let's see if either one of us has a Sammy
I
here.
don't even have a Sammy, but I just love that
Still
line.
happy, still happy. I do not have a Sammy. I
I don't.
don't.
I would say I don't even
Mm.
have one, but I just
Don't care.
don't
Don't
even
care.
care
I
at
think
that
we should
point.
celebrate.
I think we should too.
I think we should celebrate.
Oh crap! Cheers!
Cheers, cheers, cheers. All right. Well, on that
Woo!
note, on that note, hitting play. We've got this close up of Sam with the little
Oh,
mole next to his nose.
look at the look on his face.
Yeah, which his? I mean both, but yeah, which
Sam's.
his?
Sam's.
Sam, yeah.
Just look at his facial expression.
Yeah.
Like as much as you say, and I agree with you about Dean. Sam's the same way.
Oh, I think he feels the same way. I think he's more stubborn. Like
Yeah.
I mean, I agree. The brothers definitely. I mean, they've really their whole lives they've never really had anyone they could depend on but each other. Um,
I mean, Sam did have Jessica for a bit there, but
yeah,
I think they've realized that they don't do well apart. Like
they're
I
better
think that
together.
yeah, they're so much better together.
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right. Now, you had to have recognized this actor. You had to have.
See, him I wanted to, and I looked at his bio and I don't.
Oh, this is the cigarette smoking man from the X Files.
See now, I wa- I watched X Files with you our
Yeah.
freshman year in college, and I very
Hmm.
quickly couldn't keep watching it
It
because
was it was pretty creepy.
yeah, I think we got through what season 1 and I had to
Oh.
bail.
Yeah, okay. I had not I knew that it creeped you out. I had remembered you making it a smidge farther. But so Kim Manners, who directed this episode of Supernatural, was a frequent director on the X-Files. So this is William B. Davis who plays the professor here. And if you were a fan of the X-Files, he's instantly recognizable as the cigarette smoking man. If you only watched through season one and then realized it was too scary and bailed, apparently you won't recognize him.
Yeah.
If we keep an eye out here, you know what, I think I've jumped the gun a tiny bit, but so I've seen this episode at least half a dozen times. I've seen it quite a few times, and this is the very first time I noticed this. But we can see this lamp on the left. We can just see a little bit of the shade.
Yes.
And if we look, there's the camera.
No. Oh, that there it is. I know.
And boom.
Boom.
Right in the face, and Dean is knocked out. So I have
Ah.
paused it.
Yeah.
Let's see if I have someone gets knocked out.
I feel like I do. Nope. Someone picks a lock.
Over
Nope. I don't.
me.
But because of the type of day I've had, I am having a drink with my sister.
It is a Monday.
It has been such a Monday, so I'm having a drink with you.
Having a little drink. All right. Yeah, we're just completely cheating at this point.
Yeah,
Like, right?
yes, we are.
Yeah, supernatural cards be damned. So yeah, so Dean he took
I
a
just like spat in my own eye.
wait, what? I'm trying to think about the physics on that one. I'm having vision. Oh, what the hell was that movie? I can pretty much guarantee you haven't seen it. It was Angelina Jolie and James McAvoy. The whole thing about like curve the bullet, like that you could put a spin on a bullet. Somehow you managed. You curved the spit.
So it's really easy, actually, to do that. It's called go to take a drink and have your sister say something really funny at just the right time so that you chuckle right as you drink it and have the bubble so they go so that you go and have it go back that way.
Did it splooge in your eye? All right, so the Google has informed me that that movie was called Wanted, and it came out in 2008.
Oh God, help me!
Oh my goodness, this episode's going to be 4 hours long. Okay, I'm hitting play. I'm hitting play. Poor Dean is knocked out, and oh, who could have guessed it? The sheriff is in on it.
Of
Um,
course, I don't think that's a surprise to anybody.
no, you're not surprised. They have umbrellas, and it is, oh my goodness, it is a deluge. Like somebody's building an ark. It is raining so much.
So now we find out that the entire town is in on it, that everyone hears the screams, and that they are fully aware that that the orchard is angry. Now, at the end of this, I'll explain my issue with this scene, but
Mm.
I'm going to save that till the very end.
Put a pin in that. You know what
I'm
gets
going
me
to.
about this is he says, you know, why does it have to be her? And the thing that bothers me is like, okay, there's an obvious solution here that no one is considering. Like the truth is, it doesn't have to be her.
No, it
Um,
doesn't.
no, we're gonna come back to that. But they need a man and a woman. They need a male and a female for the sacrifices. They have Dean. Dean let the other couple get away. So now they need a woman. And so now they've chosen to sacrifice Emily, their niece, for the common good.
Yeah, which we find out earlier has been staying with them ever since her parents got killed. And
Right, right.
now and now we find out that, and hold on, because I could see this thought taking longer than his half a second to say this. 5 shots will do that to you, or at least to me. Um,
Just to be
so we
clear, we have not had 5 full shots,
no,
but
no, not by a
but
long shot.
okay, carry on.
But of
Make
course,
sure
we
I'm
are grown
hydrated.
adults. If we really wanted to, we could
Good. I
just
would be in the emergency room, like you would
yes,
be
no, it,
visiting me in the hospital getting my stomach pumped, but yes, technically we could.
yeah, and I'd expect you to smack me upside the head
Mm,
because that'd be a migraine waiting to happen.
yeah,
Because
but
we've already discussed I'm a migraine sufferer, so that would be really
yeah,
stupid for me.
I would not be wise to this,
Um,
but
so, anyways, so we have now discovered that he cannot get a hold of Dean.
can't.
So, and he has suddenly realized, and as we know, when Sam can't get a hold of Dean, that sets off every alarm
Yeah,
bell in his head. So
yeah.
now that
This
I've gotten
is
that,
Go ahead. Yeah, this is how well the two brothers know each other. That just not being able to get a hold of his brother tells Sam, no, no, something's not right. I know it. Um,
and Meg does not like this.
no, Meg is like, oh, but you were gonna come with me. You just met me, and I left you on the side of the road to get in a white panel van with a total creepy stranger. But don't you want to come to California with me? And he's like, no, no,
Yep.
I have to go back. And she's pulling out all the stops to convince him this is the wrong thing
And
to do.
and he's like, nope, my
Nope.
brother.
Come with me to California.
Yeah,
But
and
look at
it's,
Nope.
it's like, nope,
Nope. Oh,
nope,
look at the big eyes. And he says, he's my
he's my
family.
family,
Yeah.
and just
Like,
walks away. Like
yep.
there is no negotiating,
Nope.
no nothing, and we
This
cut to
conversation
Dean.
is over. My brother needs me. Yeah,
Yep. And I just love that.
I
Like
do too.
it's very cut and dry with Sam.
Yeah.
It's as much as this is where I say as much as he likes to, I don't want to say play the tough guy, but as much as he says that like it's very clear cut with him, when he knows in his soul that something is wrong with Dean, that's
That's it.
it.
That is it. Yeah, both brothers are that way. And this is something that we're going to talk about a lot more in the coming seasons, really. But there is a huge disconnect for both brothers, between who they are inside and what they present to the world.
Yeah.
I think for both of them, they're both reacting to John, but they go in very opposite directions with
Absolutely.
how they react to
Well,
John. So yeah, absolutely. Oh, and I'm going to pause this because Dean is tied
and
up.
I'm fairly certain I have one of them is tied up. Yes, I have one of the boys gets tied up.
Woohoo! Let
Not
me.
that I haven't had enough shots already,
Oh, there's
but
always room for one more.
of course there,
Uh,
especially when it's bourbon.
I am really sad. I am a big fan of when the boys get tied up, and I don't have that on my game card. I'm
Well,
very
you can always
sad.
have a shot with your sister.
I could. You know what? As much as I hate to leave my sister hanging, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna
All right. Well, cheers.
cheers. Otherwise, all you're gonna see on this camera is like my feet up in the air as I fall off of this bar stool here. Not that I have a bar stool in my house. What?
I was gonna say, I know your house like the back of my hand.
I do not own bar
Where
stools.
where is that bar stool and
I do
why
not
haven't
own
you
stools.
showed it to me?
So this is a longer story I will tell at some point. But 1,000 years ago, I was in a bar in a very rural community, and the bar stools were 50-gallon milk jugs with tractor seats welded to them.
How have I not heard this
Oh,
story?
you've heard the story. I guarantee you've heard it. And I
Okay,
will tell it again. There's an episode that it will be appropriate for me to tell this story. But yeah, the bar stools were by far not the weirdest thing that happened to me that evening. So yeah,
Okay.
it's a little teaser trailer for that story. Uh, okay, so yes, we have Dean gets tied up, which I don't hate, and
Excuse me.
all right, I'm hitting play.
Yeah. So so they are both tied up to a tree, and Dina's like, I wonder how many murders you have covered up, how many bodies you have buried. And of course, the uncle is feeling quite guilty, but I do not
It's
get
not
the
gonna
same
stop
sense.
him.
Yeah, I don't get the same sentiment though from the aunt.
Oh no, no, she's all like, I'll cut your throat right now if it means my life is better.
Yeah, and she's like, I'm your family, and she's like, oh, sweetheart, and
This
it's
is a
the
great line. This is what sacrifice means, giving up something you love for the greater good. Like, oh, you
oh,
you don't understand what sacrifice means, but you're about to.
dude.
Oh, and there's this
Okay,
line from from Star
I was
Trek
gonna
where it's like, go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm trying not to spoil things. All right. As much as I know is oh, I love it. I hope your apple pie was worth it. Because we know how I love it. So what's the plan? I'm working on I'm working on it.
Working on it.
And now
And
we see
it's
several
daylight
hours
now. Yeah. And now
and
it's
now
dark.
it's nighttime. So you don't have a plan, do you? I'm working on
I'm still working
it.
on it.
And like you can and and she says is and he says, is he moving? And she goes, I can't see him. Oh my god. And you hear the crink, and you can hear it, and suddenly you realize it's Sam.
It's
Sam has
Sam.
come to the rescue.
Yes. And how did he
And
get there? He
who the
stole a car.
yes,
And Dean's like, that's my boy.
bubble.
I'm so proud of you. You stole a car.
And he goes, keep an eye on the scarecrow. And he goes, what
What
scarecrow?
scarecrow? I love that line. That is such a great moment, and they're like,
Oh
oh, we're
fuck.
in the shit now.
So it's they're trying to get out, and suddenly they get surrounded, but they're like trying to figure out first how they're going to kill it. And they're like, we'll worry about that later, but first they
Right.
are surrounded.
So here's the
And
townspeople, and what I think is interesting about this is, like, as they had said earlier, this is the last night
oh,
that they can do this, that they can have this sacrifice, and so they're all in the orchard to make sure these folks don't get away.
yeah, which there's just so much wrong with this.
Not so smart.
Yeah, and now you see that the hook has gone through the uncle.
The
He's
uncle.
getting pulled away, and so is the aunt.
Yeah,
And
because there's
it's like,
another choice after all.
yeah, it's like you didn't think that one thoroughly through, did you?
You clearly didn't. Yeah, and so and they know, from what happened previously, all they have to do is get outside of the orchard and they're safe. So they're standing on the side of the road here.
What I love is that, like, and if for those who are watching it on Netflix, if you have the subtitles on, which Liz and I do,
Mhm.
you see on the thing like the growling and all of that, and it's like no one is freaked out by this. Like the townspeople are not freaked out by the fact that the scarecrow is clearly coming for everybody, and just somehow that baffles me. But
I think they
moving,
have in their mind, you're not wrong. I think they have in their minds like, here's the sacrifices
here.
we're giving you. You're
Sorry, I'm
gonna
just pausing it before we get to this part.
Yeah. No, good choice. Here's the sacrifices we're giving to you. You're going to take them, right? We're totally safe. We're the ones who have been sacrificing these people to you. You're not going to take us. And this, it's a
Does not go as
monster.
planned.
No, no, and it's very definitely like in their minds, like no, sacrifice means you die. I think it makes a really interesting contrast in particular with, so Sam wants to go to California. He wants to find dad. He wants to have a normal life. And the second his brother needs him, he gives up everything he wants so
Yep,
that he can protect his family. These folks in Burkittsville, they are willing to sacrifice their family for something they want.
yep,
Like we want this prosperity. We want to be successful and we're going to sacrifice our family to get it. And so right away we see something really different about how the Winchesters, I think correctly, understand the idea of sacrifice in a
yep.
way that the people of Burkittsville do not.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
100%. All right, so hitting play here.
Yeah.
So you see that they have figured out which tree is the migrant tree that they have discussed earlier.
Yeah,
And
so there's a the immigrants brought this tree over from Europe with them, and this is the tree that the god is with a small g is attached to, um, and they're pretty convinced that if they destroy the tree, that's going to end um, this ritual, this annual ritual sacrifice.
so yeah, so and they're trying to decide who is going to burn the tree, and
Hmm.
she goes, "Give it to me," and they're like, "It's going to kill the town," and she looks and she goes, "Good,"
Good, good.
because they
She's
were
had it.
perfectly willing to sacrifice her.
Yep.
So she has no, so she's like, they deserve this.
Yeah. Yeah, this deserves to happen. And they have an interesting conversation in a couple of minutes about like what about justice? Like, okay, the scarecrow god killed the aunt and the uncle, but what about everybody else? Where's the justice in this? And Dean is like, the town's gonna die. This is the best we're gonna get.
Yeah.
Like we can't call the police and have them arrested. That this is as good as it gets for us.
Now, I find it very interesting there that you see like how Dean kind of gives her like a sort of a half-ass like bye, and she gives him one, and there's kind of nothing from Sam. I mean, I realized Sam came in at this at the end, but I found it was kind of interesting that. Oh, and hold on, I'm just gonna pause this for a second because I'm gonna back up about 10 seconds here because I love this line from Sam.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, and
but
I think to your point, go ahead. I'm sorry.
so I mean, I realized Sam came in at this at the end, but I was a little surprised there wasn't anything, just because Sam is usually always the more emotional one, that and the fact that he kind of came in to save the day. He
Yeah.
usually says something. The fact that he said nothing, I thought was sort of said a lot. The
You're not wrong. And what I think is interesting as well is Dean does not hit on her.
no,
Like, and as far as we're aware, she's not a teenager. Like she's over 18, which I know 18-year-olds are technically teenagers, but she's legal. The dean does not hit on her, which is a little unusual for him as well. So kind of both brothers are not entirely acting in character right now.
now I think to your point, and I think that's a great thing that you just pointed out. I think what happened with Sam really hit Dean hard.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so, like, I think he's still having to recover from having to be tied up, and the fact that he really didn't have a plan and that his brother had to come in and really save the day because had Sam not shown up,
Oh,
let's
they'd
be
be
honest,
dead.
Dean would have been fucked.
They'd be dead. Yep.
There's no other way around that one.
Yeah.
So I'm just hitting play here
Mhm.
for a moment, and I love this line from Sam here when he basically says, "So," when Dean says, "So can I drop you off somewhere?" And Sam goes,
Mhm.
"No, I think you're stuck with me."
Yeah.
And he said, "What made you change your mind?" And he said, "Don't get me wrong, I still want to find Dad. You're still a pain in my ass and all this. And Dad is God knows where." And he goes, "But you and me, we're all that's left."
We're
And
all
I
that's left.
just love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I love that.
I agree. I agree. That's a great, and it's a great moment where the brothers realize, and
We're gonna,
I shouldn't say they realize it here. I think they knew it here. Oh, and of course, Dean's got to break the tension by saying, "Hold me, Sam," but, um, but they actually say out loud, like it's you and me. We're all we have, and we
yep.
have to stick together. There's a great song here. This is Bad Company by the band Bad Company off the off the album Bad
Bad
Company.
company.
And it's one of the things that I love about this show is the way that they use music as commentary. So here's Meg in the car with another creeper with a panel van,
Yep.
and you hear bad company. Like, gee, I
Yep.
wonder what's going to happen.
Yep. And she says, "I need to make a call." And
Yes.
she brings out this cup.
Yeah.
And she's like,
Yeah.
"And what's that?" "Well, I gotta make this call, and it's not that kind of call." And she reaches over and
Whew.
slashes his throat.
Oh, this move is badass from her, and the special effect is great with the cut throat. You can see like his trachea in the wound, and so she's collecting his blood. And there's
Yeah.
something I think is really cool about this, in that the conversation. So like it's some kind of a ritual. That I don't
Yep.
think we can call it a summoning, sadly, because summonings are on our bingo cards, but what I love about this is the way it bookends the conversation, because the episode starts with the boys getting a phone call,
Yep.
and the conversation with the boys is Sam is really questioning, why are we doing this? I could have done, I need to questioning, and then it immediately switches to Dean, yes sir. And now we have Meg making a phone call. She starts out
Ah,
questioning, and at the end she says, "Yes, father." So we have that
yep.
"Yes, sir," "Yes, father" parallel. No, you've already paused it. You
Yep.
say what
And
you're gonna say, and then I have a question.
well, no, I because you were such on a roll with that I was like, it's so much like. you realize that Meg is not who she claims to be.
Correct.
That it's like, wait a second here.
What's going on with Meg?
Yeah, like you realize that, and this is when, I love that you know me so well, because when I can't put words into my take when I can't phrase things the way I want to, you can put words into my mouth just right. Um
I speak Lynn.
yes, yes you do. And
I
you
do. I speak
just
Lynn.
yes. But and I just totally lost my train of thought.
Oh
Son of a bitch.
no. Oh
Son
no.
of a bitch. Um,
Son of a bitch. That's I don't think that's on our cards this time.
I know,
But,
but that's why I chose it. I
but
did
yeah.
that. I did that very intentionally.
Yeah, you're channeling Dean.
Yes.
So while you're trying to remember what it is that you wanted to say, I let me just I gotta give some props to Nikki Acox that like her performance is incredible. That she like we were talking about a little earlier that she has these lines that when you she delivers them very very innocently, very matter of factly, and you don't think anything of them. They sound totally normal, and then once you realize there's something else going on, everything that she says takes on this whole other connotation. And I think
Yep.
she plays it just brilliantly, where she hides her nefarious intentions for the entire episode up until
Yep.
that very last moment. So that moment where she cuts, and it's that quick, like, choom, jab, where she cuts that guy's throat, and it's just like, like you do not see that coming.
Nope. No. 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 You don't.
Excuse me. Did what you were going to say come back to you?
No.
Okay. Well,
So
so
you
let
know
me
what?
ask this.
I'm just dropping that one
Okay.
completely.
We're gonna let that one go. So let me ask
Yeah.
this question. Is that a gratuitous blood splatter? Blood spatter. It doesn't do the
I would say no.
I would tend to agree with you. No. I mean, it's a lot of blood, but it doesn't have the
No. I mean, if we did
spray.
everything as a gratuitous blood splatter, every little would have a gratuitous
Oh,
blood
I have
splatter.
a paper cut. Oh, let's check our cards.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. I mean, it's like every episode has someone
there's some gore.
getting cut somewhere.
Yeah,
So
agreed.
no,
Agreed.
I would not count that.
Okay, I tend not to as well. So in that case, that is our episode. So let's take a look at our bingo cards here, our Stupornatural bingo game cards. And the most that I have in a row is two. Do you have more than two?
I have 3.
Oh, awesome. So you have lost by less. Let
I
me see. I have two, three, five. I have six total.
I have 6 total as well.
Okay, so you know
So
what?
I think we have to toast a tie.
I think I think we have earned a reward. Here's our consolation prize for both losing.
To or cheers. Good God.
Mmm. Toast. Are you having a stroke? Do you smell toast?
No,
Oh no. All right.
I am way overly tired, and
It's been a
it's been
Monday kind of Monday.
it's been a very Monday.
Monday. Okay, so tell me one thing you loved and one thing you hated about the episode.
All right, I'm gonna start with the one thing I didn't like.
Okay, so bad news first.
Bad news first, and I'm really wishing I had read, because I had a perfect thing in my head when I wasn't 5 shots 5, well, not
5 partial shots in.
5 partial shots in.
Technically 6 partial shots in.
Yeah, exactly. Um, what annoyed me
Mhm.
was they kept, and maybe you can explain this one, in which case I'll no
Okay.
longer dislike it.
Well, tell me what it is and we'll find out.
Each year, it was one couple that disappeared, correctly, that
Yep.
satisfied the sacrifice.
Yes.
There's a couple that disappears in the very beginning, correct?
Ooh, yes, but it says Burkittsville, Indiana 1 year ago.
That is true. So I was like, oh, so I guess, and then he screwed up the one couple, so they hadn't had it. Okay, so
Yeah, the Maggie Gyllenhaal dude from Chesapeake Shores couple
that would
being
have been
rescued still.
okay. So that's where I got screwed up, was
Okay.
because I was thinking that that was the current couple.
Mm,
I was 1 year off,
off.
even
Okay.
though I watched the episode just last night,
That's all
and I
right.
was stone cold sober. Um,
This
last
is
night.
why I don't drink a whole lot because I don't need to. I'm
Again, when
good.
I do my prep for the recording, I am sober,
Maybe
so that
that's the
that way,
mistake.
yeah.
Maybe that's what we need to do differently.
Because I was
Okay.
like, so anyway, so the one thing, it's still actually the one thing I don't like
Okay.
is, and it's kind of the what this show does really well
Mhm.
is its subtleties.
Yes.
It does, it tells so much by it, it doesn't even have to be Dean and Sam. It can be any, like, we've talked so much about just the way a shot is filmed, like the
Right.
way a particular shot is filmed, or just
Mhm.
anything. It does so much with subtleties.
Agreed. Agreed.
Like,
It doesn't beat you over the head. There are some episodes where that's not the case and they tend to not be very good episodes,
yeah, I
but
was
by
gonna
and
say,
large,
and those
yeah.
are the ones that actually I have a tendency to say, like, those are the B-rated ones that
Yeah.
that it's like, come on, guys, you know, you don't need to do that. You're
Yeah.
so good
Yeah, the
that
show trusts its audience and trusts the intelligence of its audience to pick up on those subtleties. I completely agree. So what I'm assuming you're leading up to something not being subtle then.
yes.
Okay, what was
So
that?
in the diner with,
Right.
um when Dean is, and this isn't even part of it, but just portrays the scene. When Dean is trying so hard to get the one couple to,
Right.
like, get out of town,
Yep.
there's the apple pie,
Yes.
there's the apple juice, and
Yes.
it's like, okay, it's an
I
apple
wonder what
orchard.
the major economy is in town.
I was gonna say, it's like, for the love of God, we get it.
Yes. Apples
It's
are big.
apples. It's an apple orchard. Who the hell is going to drink apple juice with apple pie? No one.
Which I think I gotta say
No one.
honestly, and I know you haven't gotten to what you love about the episode yet, but I think it says something about this episode that the thing that you can come up with that you hated is what kind of anarchist drink.
No, but it's like,
Like, what soulless monster drinks apple juice with apple pie?
no, it's again, it's that subtlety. It's
Right.
the, we know it's an apple orchard. You
Technically, it
don't have
is.
to hit us over the head with the fact that they are trying to get them to eat apples. We know it. You
I don't
don't have
disagree
to
with
do,
you.
we don't have to do the apple pie, the apple juice, the apple. We get it.
Put an apple in your mouth because you're going on the dinner table.
Yeah,
So,
like
okay, too many apples.
wait,
What? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, no, I said just subtlety. Like
Yeah,
the
trust
show
your
is
audience.
so good. Like it's so good at that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
when
We
you
don't.
go with that, that's when you that it's so good.
Yeah, we don't need you to hammer us over the head with things.
No, you
So,
don't.
okay.
And what and
I
what
hear you, and I don't disagree.
and what I was gonna say, and I want to change subject here. Um, and what I loved is that they didn't drop the ball from the last episode to this one as to the conflict with Dean and Sam.
Right.
Is that because I think I hate it when shows do that. When it's like there's this major thing and then they just drop it.
Yeah.
It's like finish the conflict, finish that arc.
Right.
Like tie those loose ends together, finish that storyline, then move on.
Yeah.
And I feel like this episode, even though like they finished it perfectly, like it took a couple of like and literally just those few sentimental comments, and then they tied it in with the sarcasm,
Right.
which is purely in character.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed.
Perfection.
Yeah. No chick flick moments from Dean.
No.
And well, and I mean, so we did get, so the prior episode was the mid-season finale, and so that was kind of their cliffhanger. Yeah, and they picked that back up. So I agree with you. I think that was a good choice. For me, the thing that I loved was again, that juxtaposition between Sam and Dean, particularly Sam, but sacrificing what he wants for family, and the Burkittsville people sacrificing family for what they want. And that actually ends up being kind of a theme for the season as a whole, about, the Winchesters. They're prepared to make sacrifices themselves
Yep.
for the people around them. They're going to make sacrifices for each other. Um, but they have no patience, with, if you're gonna sacrifice people for yourself, you are a monster, and the Winchesters are coming for your ass. So that's something we're definitely going to see. For me, and I think I'm in a similar boat to you in that I think this is a great episode.
Oh yeah.
Kim Manners directs the shit out of it. It's really beautifully written. The performances are great. So if I'm going to get nitpicky, I can't believe in the entirety of British Columbia, Vancouver and the surrounding counties, that they could not find an actual apple orchard. I,
That is
like,
the freakiest apple orchard on
it's
planet Earth.
I mean, okay, you can take anything, and especially like Jerry Wanick, Serge Ladouceur. I think they could take a child's kindergarten, like the most sweet, innocent, happy place on earth. I think the two of them could turn it into like a horror fest. I guarantee it. They're both that talented. But but I just like, okay, I grew up rural. I know what fruit trees look like. Like, I just find it really difficult to believe that hazelnut orchards were, I don't even know if you can call a hazelnut bunch of, farm and orchard. Like, I'm really struggling with this. So, I mean, it's so nitpicky, but that's how good this episode was. Um, all right. Any last thoughts before we wrap it up?
Well, again, my negative thing was that they were serving apple juice with apple pie. It's like
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. So,
So
all
so
right. On
clearly,
that note, I'm going to have one last one.
go for it.
And then that is last call. Thank you so much for coming with us on the ride. If you like what we're doing here, oh, I completely again forgot to mention we are going to be doing a wrap up episode. So if you have any questions, any comments, any things that you would like us to discuss in the season finale wrap up episode, please make sure to drop that in the comments for us. We love hearing from our SPN family. So definitely tell your friends, like our videos, comment, subscribe, and that helps other people find us too. So please make sure to do those things. And you are also always welcome to send us an email at hunterfuelpodcast.com. And you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Hunterfuel Podcast. In our next episode, we will be watching season 1, episode 12, Faith, when Sam and Dean discover maybe they should fear the Reaper after all. Until then, be safe, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye.